Welcome to Just Looking, Secrets of Main Street. My name is JoeAnn Hart, and I am delighted to be the host of today's show, where we are going to take a deep dive into a particular retail experience of downtown Gloucester. Most of us know what it's like to walk into a store on Main Street. Maybe we are searching for something specific in mind, or more likely, we are just looking. In either case, few of us know what it's like to be the person behind the register. Fewer still understand the unknown struggles and joys of Main Street business owners and the realities of being out there to the public. My guest is Barbara Koen, the owner of The Dress Code, a fashion consignment shop for both men and women at 159 Main Street in Gloucester. A native of Lynn, Barbara moved to Gloucester in 1996, and in 2004 she bought The Dress Code from Mary Richardson, who started it in 1998. Barbara began her career as a spot welder for GE. She also worked in demolition and was a proud member of her labor union. She has been a waitress, a bartender, a preschool teacher, and has been playing music publicly since she was 15 years old. Sadly, The Dress Code closes forever on February 7th, and I'll be talking to Barbara about that difficult decision. Welcome, Barbara.
Hi, JoeAnn.
Having you. Okay, so let's just get to it. I'm sure everybody wants to hear about why you're closing the shop after all these many years.
Well, the reason I'm actually closing is because in 2024, a friend of mine living in Boston went for a drive one day and ended up on the side of the road in Syracuse. He was taken to a hospital, and it was declared that he had Binswanger, which is a form of vascular dementia, and he was put in a nursing home. He had no guardian. He's a very deep, old friend who really changed my life. So I went ahead and said I would be guardian. And then, of course, once I got into it, I realized how much work it involved, and it was such a struggle. There was no way I was going to be able to run the business and do this guardianship, and I had to make a decision what was most important. And though the business is extremely important, my friendship won.
Oh, wow. That's very touching, Barbara.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me then why closing and not like some other alternative? Ask somebody else to run it or sell it or something. Tell me why.
Well, I think it's because, when you've owned a business for 21, 22 years, you've put so much of yourself into it.
Right.
The lessons I've learned are incredible because I've always been a customer. I've never been a business owner.
Right.
So being a business owner, comes with a couple of kisses and a few slaps in the face. And you realize that you become a face on Main Street and you're trying to do business. And at the same time, you're spending a lot of time trying to bring comfort to those that are in need, whether it's a shoulder to cry on. There's so many.
Yes, tell me what that is like, that there you are, you're open to the public. I mean, anybody can walk through that door, whether you know them or you don't know them, whether they're a stranger or a friend, but a wide range of like emotional issues could be going on. I mean, maybe like they're there for retail therapy, maybe they are there just to look for another person. To talk to or just to cry on. So would you like to talk to that, like the frequency of that, how that and how you deal with that and how your staff deals with somebody coming in sort of like in emotional distress?
Well, I remember that Nicole Rochon had given me a sticker that I put on the door of the store, which was for a safe place. In other words, if people were being abused or something as such, you knew you could come into my shop and you were going to have a safe space.
Wow.
And then as the years were going by, and believe it or not, politics were changing. We had the pandemic. And, you know, there were so many people at home, so many people were incredibly lonely. So I noticed the increase over the past 10 years of people that really, they were really hurting.
Oh.
You know, and it's, you know, a lot of elderly people and young people as well. And then people that have gone through like very, very intense tragedy that you couldn't possibly imagine.
Oh.
So I would find myself, because of the kind of person I am, which is not a saint, believe me, so I don't want you to get the wrong idea. But I would close the store and I'd bring someone out back and we would just sit in the dark out back. And I can remember there being one woman, her son had taken his life, and it was really very painful. And we sat out back. And at that point I had, you know, all kinds of things, like I had holy water that someone had given me, you know, just various teachings that I'd studied. So my basic role was to listen.
Wow.
And it's really hard to avoid. You have to have a certain personality to be able to say, not now. It's like, it's the opposite. It's like, if not now, when?
Right.
So.
Wow. So had you anticipated that when you bought the dress code, that it would evolve into like walk-in, you know, caretaking?
No, I had no idea. Wow. And I was also, you know, ill-prepared for running a business because I was basically, you know, preschool teacher that went into this, thought it would be a great idea, but it's very important to know every aspect of your business.
Right.
You know, the QuickBooks, the bookkeeping, the accounting, the cleaning, all of it, the preparing, the supplies, and then you're taking care of other people's items. So you have to deal.
Right, the very personal, you know, consignment. Would you like to talk about like what is a consignment shop? And it's so like funny, like now that used clothes are this huge revival.
Yes.
I mean, like everybody is doing the, you know, the thrifting and vintaging, all the things that. So at this point in time, like, you know, that you're closing the shop at a sort of the peak of.
Right. Well, after COVID, JoeAnn, so many people had learned to be at home for long periods of time. Mm-hmm. And especially when it came to younger people, they discovered that they could actually become influencers and that they could sell online. So a lot of people got into the thrifting and found a way to make a living at it.
Right.
Whereas thrifting for me as a child, because we were poor, it meant going to the local nonprofit to purchase clothing.
Right.
And that was really important for the family. Whereas now you've got, you know, vintage stores and you've got thrift stores and you've got nonprofits and you've got consignment. And
dress code was consignment.
Yes, dress code was consignment. Each party got a split of whatever sold.
In other words, people go through their closets.
Yes.
They gather stuff and bring it in, and you don't take, consignment shops do not take everything. And that interaction itself can be very painful.
Oh, yes.
Because these are somebody's like personal. Yeah.
This is a perfect example, right? This is very
Mom's
pretty.
urn.
Right. This is Mom's urn, but I'll take the ashes out. Don't worry. There'll be no ash on the rim. What we're saying is that someone could bring something into you, and you already can go on your spreadsheet. You know what's moving at the current moment and what is not moving. And then people, rather than just practicing, oh, you want this? You don't want that? No problem. People become very engaged to the items they own because they feel that they define who they are.
Right.
So suddenly you're dealing with, I'm bringing in only my best. Or, you know, why wouldn't you take this? It only has a little chip. Somebody else will fix it.
Right.
And you have to have a certain level in consignment where you're really looking for the best you can, but you also want to carry a product that is available to your community. And that can be where things break down a little bit. Because some shops are very bougie. And in '96, when I went into this, I mean, in 2004, Main Street was pretty vibrant. there were a lot of shops there. And as time went on, there were less and less and less shops. There was never a really good coordination between the city and the downtown merchants. Joe Cellino did a lot to keep sidewalk sales alive, which some of the merchants didn't like. So once again, you're not just trying to survive in a business, trying to make some money to support your family, and trying to engage in discussions with people who are terribly lonely or very sad, but you're also trying to discuss with other merchants on the street.
Right.
And not everybody is going to agree on that either.
Oh, I'll bet. Tell me about how you've seen Main Street evolve over these 22 years, you know, and for better, for worse. You know, the last time we were here, you actually got a parking ticket.
Yes, yes,
here.
and I will most likely get one
and
today.
And you might even get one today.
And
so, so talk about, like, you know, the changes that you've seen, and that the changes you would encourage to happen to make the downtown more vibrant again.
Yes. Well, there's a couple of things to take into consideration. Gloucester is at the end of the line. So the only other place is Rockport.
Right.
And so during the winter time, most people aren't going to just drive up here to a particular store if they know they can get that same item somewhere near them. So coming up here, it has to be like a destination.
Right.
So it appeared to me that after, like, the Beauport Hotel went in, things were starting to really change. So there was going to be this idea that the hotel was going to bring tons of people onto Main Street. I don't think we ever really saw that. We saw some people, but a lot of people coming, they were coming for weddings, etc.
Right.
It just seemed like there was this point that Gloucester was really trying to become a tourist place.
Right.
And that's where my heart was breaking a little bit. And I, you know, not being originally from Gloucester, I could understand people that lived here who were becoming frustrated trying to find a home that they could afford where they live, having to leave their home because somebody, you know, wanted to buy it at an exorbitant price, change it into an Airbnb. It just became, everything started chopping away. And the tourism last year was really down. And of course, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for the other businesses or hotels, but having spoken with some of them, they also noticed it. We didn't get our European and our Canadian friends coming down last summer.
And there's no stats for that anywhere? Like,
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. But everybody...
Because I knew that nationwide.
Oh, yeah,
it was definitely way down.
Yeah, not everybody knows it, though, because some people that have come in, you know, have said, really? Did that really affect you? And it was like, well, yes, because what's happened is as we've been pushing towards this tourist thing, you know, a lot of the people are depending on that summer money to get them through the abysmal winter months.
Right.
Because once again, you have to be coming up here or on the way to Rockport in order to really want to be here.
Right.
You know, it's not the big vacation.
You have to be coming for a whale watch, you know. You have to, if you have some destination.
Yes.
And then you stay for lunch, a little shopping, and
But definitely, you know, if you're in Salem and you know you got to go to Danvers, you might go through Beverly. So there's always that kind of change. Plus, we didn't have what a lot of those cities have. They
which museum?
Well, yeah, which.
More stones.
Oh, yes, more stones to be thrown. More wounds to add the salt to.
And of course, the museum, Cape Ann Museum, has been closed for the past year downtown.
Yes.
So that definitely hurts because that is also a destination.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when you are choosing things for consignment, are you thinking of what tourists might like as well as locals, or are you trying to make a wide range of affordability at the shop?
Yes, a wide range of affordability. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Because there are some stores that, you know, they only want high-end items. And for me, having grown up the way I grew up, I saw that a little bit as a form of exclusivity versus inclusivity.
Right.
So
you've seen those consignment shops in Manchester.
Well, I can't disparage any other business. Everybody's got a, an emotional home life and everything to deal with.
Yeah.
But yes, and I think what people thought that they would make in their consignment sometimes was unreasonable. Because they would say, well, I've seen it online. This is what I paid for it. Here's the original receipt. And then you'd go over to the computer and tick, bang, you'd bring it up. It's on eBay. Somebody's selling it for $7.
Right.
And it was very hard for people to recognize that. In order to price properly, you had to basically, for us, we would go online, find it the cheapest that we could, and then go lower. So that was the bottom line. You can either pay the shipping charges to eBay or whoever you're buying from, or you can purchase it here.
Right. Did you develop relationships? Was it like the same people who brought in stuff all the time?
Oh, yes.
It was.
Yes.
People like people who just really loved to shop and wanted to reuse and recycle their clothes.
Yeah.
So
at one point, it was literally, I had a card that basically said, see what over 7,000 consigners already know. Because at one point we reached the 7,000.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It is, but it doesn't mean they're all active at the same time.
Right, yeah.
But that, of course, in marketing would be your presentation, see what other...
Right, wow. And were your consigners from
all around?
Or it was all over around. Cape Ann, not just...
Oh, I had people from Boston. I had people that lived in New York. I still have people that live in New York, and they summer here.
Yeah.
And so, yes, and with tourists, I had people that would come in every summer that came from Canada, that this was their first stop. This is what they always told me. As well as people from Paris that used to visit. I haven't seen them, love them all. And Tokyo, Italy, Germany. It was always the same story. Our first stop. Yeah. And that just felt wonderful.
Oh my God! That's going to be such a loss. As somebody who has shopped there, because for all these years, I believe that nobody should be buying anything new until we have used up everything.
Until we've used up everything.
Until we've used up everything.
But after I will tell you though that during COVID and after COVID, I saw in the market, as far as the clothing lines, it didn't matter if you were Nanette Lepore, Armani, whatever. It didn't matter. They were all producing clothing that, as far as I was concerned, was made from incredibly cheap material.
Wow.
Yes, awful. And nobody else wanted it as well. This stuff was literally coming out in factories on sheets where they didn't even have to hem it. All they did was carve out the scallop.
Just fast fashion.
Yes, really fast, but at the same ridiculous prices.
Yes, the same ridiculous prices.
Yes, exactly.
I know. So tell me, before we leave and we talk about your future, I'd love to know what the most unusual things that have happened at the store.
Oh, great.
Even I'd like you to tell me about Halloween.
Let me get some tissues.
I know.
All right. So this one particular year had a couple of gentlemen that were living upstairs, and of course I'm not naming names, but somebody from the FBI got in touch with me. They came in and saw me, and they had an eye on them because they were looking for a stepbrother, half-brother to one of the men who was wanted for murder in New York. But they wanted to see if he was going to come by and see these two guys. And they didn't want the local police to know. Don't know if I'll get in trouble for this. But the idea was they didn't want anybody else involved, because they had whatever they had for evidence in that. They wanted to be the ones to catch this person. So this went on for a few weeks, and I think it was like Halloween Day.
Halloween Day, where the kids go up and down Main Street.
Oh yeah, the kids go up and down, and I think at my staff at that point might have been Lara Giardulo, and she was dressed, I think, completely in a bee costume. So that's what made this all the more hysterical. But what ended up happening was, Lara had gone out to do something in the bee costume on Main Street, and the next thing I know, I hear all this fighting upstairs, and it's getting bad. So I have a basement there, and above the basement are the stairs that lead to the apartment, and all you could hear was this banging and crashing, and then the guy's like, no, don't get your gun, don't get your gun, and I'm like, Jesus, what am I going to do? And I called them because it was like a sting operation. They had somebody watching the building and so forth, and they finally, they said, all right, we're not going to get there fast enough. You are going to have to call the police, much to their chagrin. They came immediately, which was great.
Just moving the small children aside.
Yeah, yes, move along, nothing to see here.
Just part of Halloween. Just part of Halloween.
A couple of Rottweilers slathering at the door glass, right? And the police are there, and the dog is smashing his head against the glass, and they're like, put the dog back, and come out, but the dog, I can't control the dog, and it was insane. And they ended up being taken out. I think they went away for a little bit. One of them came back, eventually left, but that was one of the classic Main Street stories.
Yeah, right.
How do you tell somebody that?
Right.
You don't want to get in trouble.
Right. You're thinking of opening a small business? Well,
yes.
Yes. This is a possibility.
Yes, there might be someone taking a pee in the corner of your dressing room. Has it happened? Yes, it has.
Oh, my God.
You got to bring carpet cleaners. You do not know. And this is very important. You need to have cameras in a store on Main Street. It wouldn't matter if you walked and you saw the woman standing there with the dress like this and pushing it into her bag. It's not old school anymore. You can't just go over and grab it. She gets to walk out or he gets to walk out, and unless you've got it on film footage, you're very hard pressed to get the help that you're going to need.
Wow.
So these are the kind of things that are very detrimental to a Main Street business too.
God.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
You're going to have to recover a little bit from your PTSD from it.
I'm fine.
We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you terribly. But tell me, what are you thinking of for your future? What are you thinking now?
Well, the very first thing I'm going to do is to put my head directly into this guardianship, because it involves getting
the guardianship,
my friend back from New York to Massachusetts, and it involves all the paperwork that people like myself have never been trained to handle. So that's there, and then I will have to get a job. Hi, everybody. I will have to get a job.
Good with people.
Good with people. That's right, old school. I'll follow your orders. And probably try to get back into music somewhat, because I did that for a very long time.
Yes,
I wasn't
so
thrilled.
Talented.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I wasn't incredibly thrilled, with the music business, playing in Boston and so forth. You could play at the Rat or whatever, but you'd have to wait downstairs by the toilet to get your $25 at the end of the night. And it's like when you get older, you're like, man, I'm just done.
Yeah.
Got it? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. So I hope that we'll be seeing you,
Yes.
around town and on stage. And good luck with that guardianship. That's it's good. He's got you as an angel.
Well, thank you.
You've got to do now. You're called to do your angel work.
Yes.
After finishing all these years of your angel work on Main Street.
Yeah, I hate to even hear that, because I don't want anybody to ever think that I think of myself as any kind of as a guru or any kind of a martyr.
Right.
Because I've been every dirty piece of life you've ever seen. So that's why I can be more compassionate.
Yeah.
What I see is what I've been. Sort of the way I look at it.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope this has given you a new view on what it's like to be a business owner on Main Street. I hope you support the businesses on Main Street.
Please
and
do.
Don't pee in the dressing rooms, I think is probably,
right.
one.
And it may help when the businesses realize that supporting the community does not always mean a donation here and there. Mm-hmm. It means trying to, make things or bring things into your shop that are affordable to the people that live here.
Yep.
Very important. They're your backbone through the winter.
That's right. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, and and have a great day.